Very good morning, Nick Conrad at breakfast on BBC Radio Norfolk, Tuesday, January the 8th. 23 minutes to 9. Thank you for choosing Norfolk's biggest and brightest listen. On the big phone in after 9, I'm asking, is veganism really as ethical as it's made out to be? We've been talking about veganuary on the programme this week, and we all know how popular veganism is becoming. But what about feeding your pets a vegan diet? It's something the British Veterinary Association is unconvinced about, but it's something more of us are thinking about. Meanwhile, in Shropshire, a senior councillor says adverts promoting veganism should be removed from buses in the county because of its agricultural history. Deputy Council Leader Steve Charmley said in a series of tweets the posters promoted fake news and they should be removed from the sides of the buses. Joining me now to talk about these two subjects is YouTuber, personal trainer and nutritionist Paul Kerton, who you can find online as Hench Herbivore. He's based in Norwich and has been vegan for 8 years. Paul, very good morning to you.
Morning. How are you?
Good morning. Very, very well, thank you. Good to have you on. Okay, first of all, there's two things to go at here. First of all, let's just talk about the fact that lots of people are trying a vegan diet. It's really quite interesting, the popularity behind it. What are the benefits from your perspective?
If it's a whole foods vegan diet, we can prevent 14 of the 15 leading causes of death in the West. We can treat most of them, and we can reverse up to 6, including killer number 1, heart disease. But I do stress it has to be a whole foods vegan diet and not junk food.
Okay, yeah. But then could you also argue that a whole foods diet with meat in it as well could do exactly the same thing?
No, there's no data. And just the more animal products we eat, the quicker we get cancers, heart disease, diabetes. There's so much data now. If people want to look it up for themselves, nutritionfacts.org. It's a free resource. They look at every single English language nutrition paper that comes out and they see who funded it, was it good science, what should we do about it? And time after time is eat whole plant foods, avoid animal products and processed plant foods.
Okay, what about the ethical side of it? Because a lot's made out of a vegan diet and it's much greener for the environment. But actually, is it? When you have a look at things like soya production, when you have a look at the amount of water that's used in cultivating certain vegetables across the world, is it quite as ethical? Is it quite as environmentally friendly as some people will have you believe?
I'm not huge on environment, to be honest. My focus really is health. My understanding now is that on the whole, whole plant foods are much less taxing on the environment than animal products. And who's eating all the soy? A few vegans, or there's 140 billion farmed animals we're currently raising. They're eating the soy, they're eating the grain, so much more than a few vegans.
Yeah, fair point. Can't argue with that. Okay. In terms of your animals, your cats, do they also have a vegan diet?
They do, and it was a decision. It took us months to come to. It's not easy, and you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. It's a bit of a grey area. It's not easy. So as a personal trainer, as a nutritionist, I advocate a whole foods vegan diet for humans, which I feel is species specific from what I've seen. I'm conscious that I'm being a hypocrite and I'm feeding the cats that share my home with me, I'm feeding them a processed food. If people want to give it a try, it has to be a complete food. So it's got all the nutrients added in that they need and it's pH balanced for that particular physiology, but it's not their natural diet. Our cats are thriving. Lots of our friends have cats that are thriving. The one caveat is if you give your cats this food and they develop crystals in the urine, well, they have to have meat, and there's no two ways about it. So one of our friends had to do that with one of her 4 cats. Everyone else we know that their cats are all thriving. One of our cats, the 3 different vets gave her a year to live. She was born with a heart murmur. She's now 12. She's been vegan for 4 or 5 years, and she's thriving.
In terms of the ethical side of this, though, is it right to feed an animal unnatural food? So you've said yourself their diet should have a certain amount of meat in it. So is it really right and is it fair to feed them a diet that doesn't have meat?
I'm not sure that it is, and it doesn't feel good to me. However, my ethics just became such that, okay, I know these animals, obviously I love them, we have a great bond, but can I keep, I'm against harm, the death, and exploitation of animals. And so I, in good consciousness, I couldn't keep giving people money to hurt other animals just because I don't know them. And I suppose I weighed up, the greater good, I suppose is what you'd say. But it doesn't sit well with me, and I certainly wouldn't get another cat. I'd get a rescue animal that was, herbivorous rather than
Gotcha.
omnivorous
Yeah,
or
no,
carnivore.
I understand that.
It's a hard one.
Yeah, no, out of interest, what do the actual cats eat? 'Cause I'm looking up online, they can eat veggies, they can eat cheese. What kind of diet is it? What actually goes into it?
So we actually just give them a food. It's by a company called Benevo, and it's just a one-off kind of product, and it has like the taurine added in, etc., pH balanced.
Right. Okay.
But it's a processed food, and as I say, as a nutritionist, I advocate against that for humans. So, like I say, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. It's not an easy decision, and I certainly wouldn't judge anyone based on how they decided to go about things.
Okay. In terms of raw food diets that we hear quite a lot about, we hear people deciding to give their dogs and their cats raw food, which tends to be raw meat, and I think it's better for their systems. Would you say that we should have the similar kind of attitude to what we're putting in? Look, you don't put rubbish fuel in your car, so why put rubbish fuel in your body?
Sure.
And maybe we should have that same attitude towards our animals as well.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's hard. I don't like to sort of really go into this too much because I don't want to promote the eating of animals. And I do know that until recently, Nick, the longest-lived dog on record, and it's in the Guinness Book of Records if people want to look it up, is a border collie called Brambles, and she actually ate a vegan diet. There's a book by Anne Heritage, Bramble, the dog who wanted to live forever, and there's all the recipes and stuff. She actually gave her whole foods. And until very recently, as I said, longest-lived dogs. So dogs, I believe, are facultative omnivores. They're not obligate. They don't have to eat meat to actually survive.
Okay.
So I think that's a distinction.
I'll share something with you, Paul. I do like my meat, but I think that we should be cutting back on what we're eating. Definitely, I really do. I think because if we get down to a lot of people are going for veganuary. I think actually the better one is to say for the rest of the year I'm going to try and maybe do 2 meat meals a week rather than eat meat every single day. Because what's the point in doing it just for January when it's better off doing it for the whole year? That's my view.
Yeah.
But I think we should be trying to get, and I think the environmental stuff is really interesting. I think some really good arguments across the board on that. Yesterday, I had a vegan lunch.
Nice.
And I had I had a vegetarian. There was a little bit of meat there's a tiny bit of bacon in the risotto. If you just allow me that one, because I'm making a wider point here, because I do actually eat vegetarian quite a lot. But it's very, very small amount of meat in this risotto. I had a bit of bacon in the risotto I had.
It's really that the thousands and thousands and thousands of people reducing their meat consumption are doing a lot more good than the few vegans that there are currently. But of course, I would advocate to strive for veganism because that causes no harm to animals. And I think if people are just educated and they know, I know there's that guy in Shropshire trying to ban the vegan adverts. And I think just if we've got the information and we can make an informed decision, I really recommend
freedom of speech, absolutely. But the point I was going to make was actually I woke up this morning and I felt great. And I have to say, when I reduce I'm not saying take it out, but when I reduce my meat intake, I think we just eat far too much meat. Okay, listen, really good to have you on the programme, Paul. Thank you so much for that.
Nice chatting, Nick. You have a lovely day.
You too. Take care, mate.
Thank you, my friend.